Morning, guys. Trevor Hunter here at Dirt Bike Test. Today we have Jay Clark, bike builder extraordinaire, and we're riding a YZ250 two-stroke today. Any chance I can swing a leg over a Yamaha two-stroke, no matter what size, I'll always say yes. So when Jay called me about this YZ250, I'm all about it. And so, Jay, what do we got here?
Well, it's a 21, and it's like, that's the older generation, but it's like a brand new bike. And so it's a good buddy of mine, Chris Puffer, and he had Sano Metal Finishing, which he since has closed up. He's kind of retired now. Anyway, he bought this, and then like 6 months later, the new generation bike came out and was updated. But he was like, he wanted to build a 300 out of it, and he tried a few different kits. They tested; they weren't ever happy with what they came up with. So he just put it back to stock bore. We just put a stock Wiseco in there, and then Langston's Performance, which is Andrew Langston's, not to be confused with his brother with Langston's Motorsports. So Gerald was Grant's mechanic in the day. And so he has his own little hop-up shop. He mainly does crank rebuilds and things like that, and then does some engine rebuilds. So he helped him get the engine dialed in. Nothing major, just clean up the head and that kind of stuff, and just add a little compression. And these things run really good, as you know, stock. Just a little bit of jetting, some good fuel. We got some like C12 in there. These things run great. So, and same thing on the suspension. JBI helped our guy get the suspension. Just did a little bit of valving, stock springs, and all pretty good. Like these bikes are kind of hard to mess up, and if you do mess one up, go back to stock, right?
You said stock is best?
Yeah. So
in some instances, stock is best.
It can be very good. I always say, I want it just like this, but maybe a little better here, there, a little bit better, but they're so good stock. Yeah. Even for a small guy to a bigger guy, they're totally, I feel like they have a wide range that they're good at on the suspension. That goes for about all Yamahas, but especially on these two-strokes, they really were dialed. And so we just did some basic stuff, oversized Galfer rotor with a brake line, because the front brake lines in the Yamahas do get a little bit mushy. Yeah, you felt that? And so I felt like that, and so get that a little better. Works connection perch. We got our ODI bars and grips that we like. Of course, got a great look with the Decal Works graphics, Moto seat. And then Faster USA does some of the Cerakoting now, and built some nice wheels for me. So we had some like race quality wheels on these things. Even got a cool light speed cover, V-Force recage, spec bolt, gives us that cool look throughout. A Recluse torque drive clutch, not an auto clutch, but a torque drive. And a lot of Works connection bits, and it's a home run, man. It's gorgeous. MX Plastics, which is Decal Works, has plastics also for these things, and these bikes are so good and reliable long term. And also, if something goes wrong, it's somewhat easy to fix. If you stay on it, something shouldn't go wrong. But if you were to have a problem, it's relatively easy to fix these compared to a modern four-stroke. So that's a real advantage of these two-strokes.
Yeah, obviously you work on a lot of bikes. Just the YZ two-strokes in general, I mean, there's no battery. There's very minimal electronics. They've got to be so, even the newer two-strokes, some of them got pretty complicated. These are just so basic and easy to work on. I'm sure you see that all the time.
All the time. And I get guys write me they're having problems with their YZ. And once I back out and I start asking them, hey, where's your jetting? I send them the PC jetting page. Or you find out they're not close to stock or PC. Let's get back to there. Just that you keep everything close to there, and usually you solve your problems. Two-strokes is very simple. Like on these, reeds are good. Silencer's not all choked up and full of junk. And if the piston's been changed in under 40, 50 hours, you've got good compression. That's it, man. It's simple.
It's pretty basic.
Yeah, it's pretty basic. I would say so. Guys will try to run them way too long, maybe break a piston. That's when problems start to happen. So you don't want to run them too long with that stock cast piston, but still 50, 70 hours, for a novice type guy. If you're a faster guy, you'd be doing it more often, but that'll get you in the park, and then you can chain it out. And it's pretty simple to keep these things running a long time. And like I said, minimal problems. Like you said with the electronics, we got guys with 20, riding with 05s, 06s, 20-year-old bikes, zero problems. So pretty cool.
The YZ two-strokes, they're reliable, they're fun, they're good to ride. Like they're pretty hard to beat, really. So
I think you're going to enjoy it. Even though it's somewhat close, I don't know if it's going to be as fast as your modern two-strokes that you've been riding. When I say modern, this bike really hasn't, even though the styling changed in 22, the motor's still the same.
The roots are over 20 years
old. Over 20 years old. While we had the bike down, we went ahead and got the radiators strengthened up. ICW does a really good job of that. And, of course, we have our Dunlop tires. Can't forget that. One of the main things I do. MX34 is good all-around tire everywhere. And on the FMF system, went with the factory look on this thing. If you're looking for a little bit less maintenance, the plated one's a lot easier. I prefer it in a lot of cases, but it doesn't look as cool. But I kind of prefer the plated version. But a lot of guys like this factory look. It's definitely more work, especially if you're in a humid area. You really got to stay on it. And with the silencer, we went with that longer power core, gives it a little bit smoother power. If you want that really aggressive hit, I would go with the shorty. Yep. So you've been riding a TBI, yep. So I'd be curious to see what you think. And yep. I'm guessing vibration is going to be a little bit heavier on this. Yep. We kind of know that it doesn't have a counterbalance or engine like the newer KTM Austrian bikes. Yep. So it'll be interesting to see what you think.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it. So we're going to spin some laps here at Glen, Helen, and we'll be back soon.
Perfect.
All right, we just wrapped up a day riding this J. Clark special YZ250 two-stroke. I couldn't wipe the smile off my face. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I love a Yamaha two-stroke. 85, 125, 250 two-stroke. Anytime I get to ride a Yamaha two-stroke, I have a blast, and this bike was no different. I really have come to like the newest generation Yamaha 250 with kind of the updated styling. It kind of smooths out that power just a little bit. They really refined the suspension, and I feel like it works just really well overall. But hopping on this bike, it felt very similar, other than maybe like the rider triangle and the cockpit area. Power-wise, it was super smooth off the bottom, and it revved out pretty good. Whenever I rode YZ250s, I always ran shorter silencers. It sounds better and a little more bottom end. But with the Power Core 2 on here, the bottom end was super smooth, and it revved out quite a bit. More than the stock YZ, so it was really fun to ride. Just kind of pin it, feel like a hero out there, especially this morning when the track is really smooth and wet. You just hold it wide open and just have a lot of fun. It's kind of the theme of this bike in general. It's a simple, fun bike. You kickstart it. It's no electronics. It's no buttons really. It's just kickstart it and go. And yeah, it was really good. Suspension worked just like a YZ250 should and would. Nothing crazy there. We set the sag, and I didn't really touch a clicker all day. Just got on the bike, rode it, and had a lot of fun. So I think the suspension on the newest Yamaha is a little bit more refined, a little plusher feeling initially. So it's one thing that maybe this bike, I remember on these YZs, this initial valving is a little stiff in the beginning of the stroke, and I felt a little bit of that today. But the traction was so good, and you hit the bumps hard enough, fast enough that we really didn't feel it a whole lot. Just kind of when I was cruising around and playing around with Jay here on the track. Yeah, talk about the kind of differences, like I said, in that new generation YZ250 and the bodywork and everything is the seat profile with the updated subframe and the seat and all the ergonomics they have. The seat profile is a lot flatter, whereas this is a little bit more of a pocket, which is kind of old school at this point. I'm not saying it's bad, but it just it feels old school when you hop on one of these versus any other modern bike. So like this is a new Yamaha two-stroke. It's a flatter seat profile, so it's easier to move back and forth on the seat, and it just feels like you're on top of the bike more than in the bike. And then on top of that, with that updated bodywork, nothing internally has changed on the motor, but with the different airbox and the air intake and everything, it smoothens out that power, that bottom end power, and that initial hit. And I feel like this bike, with the FMF setup and everything, has smoothened out that power similar to how it feels on the newest bike and stock trim. But yeah, that flatter seat profile with the updated bodywork and styling and the seat, and then the different air intake on the new YZ is I think is a lot better, a lot more friendly to ride. Maybe not quite as exciting, but it's like user-friendly and just smoother and easier to ride, which that goes a long way with me and a lot of our testers. So yeah, some of the differences between this generation and then the newest generation in 2022 and newer. But overall, Jay killed it on this build. Hopefully he builds another YZ250 or 125 sometime soon, and he'll call me up to ride it, because yeah, I couldn't get enough of this today, and I'm already ready for more. So thanks to Dirt Bike TV and Jay Clark for having us out today, and we'll see you out on the trail.
If you liked what you saw in this video, come check us out over at dirtbiketest.com on the webs. We have bike tests, product tests, a lot of fresh dirt, and you can even support us by clicking through our links. Hopefully we'll see you out in the trail.